Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Tea Time with me, Amanda Prochaska. And I have a special guest. Deborah Augustus is near and dear to my heart because of many things, but especially because we have a passion for leadership and women in procurement. And I've had the pleasure of running into Deborah a couple of times this spring in the conference circuit. We got to talking about different topics, and I cannot wait for her to share a philosophy she's learned about mentorship and bringing other people up alongside of us. So I cannot wait for this conversation. So let's go ahead and get started. Deborah, would you like to do a more formal introduction of yourself?
Sure. Thank you. My name is Deborah Augustus. I have been in the field of procurement in some way, shape, or form for the last 25 plus years, which is always surprising when I say that number. I absolutely fell in love with the idea of leadership and mentorship with some various groups that I belong to at the different companies that I've worked for. And actually got the opportunity to build out my own ideas of mentorship at one of my previous companies. So I'm really excited about this conversation and glad to have this conversation with you, Amanda.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that you're here and that we're able to share some of your thoughts on this very important topic. When I chat with women in procurement, oftentimes I'll hear mentorship thrown around. I'll also hear sponsorship thrown around. I always like to tell people, like to ask women, have you ever thought about what other people are saying when they hear their name or what they're thinking when they hear your name? All of that kind of goes into mentorship, sponsorship, your image along the way. And I just love like your concept around collaborative circles and mentoring. So why don't we start there? And can you explain what collaborative circles are and how they differ from traditional mentorship programs?
So your traditional mentorship is usually a more one-on-one with someone in particular. You identify a leader that you might want to emulate or learn from and ask them to mentor you, and you have a more formalized discussion and time frame that you work together. A collaborative circle is where you bring together multiple people at various levels of their experience and careers, and that particular group meets on specific topics, and you gain insights from folks who have experience, and then those who are more newer to the role or to their career are able to ask questions live in that setting, and you just have a conversation like this.
Yeah. So it's almost like you hear sometimes like build your advisory board.
Yeah,
kind of a concept.
Yeah,
a little bit.
It could be similar to that. I think
Yeah.
your advisory board is more, in my mind, those are all experienced people that focus on you, where this
Right.
is kind of more collaborative at different levels, different parts of the business, having different conversations about any kind of topic, whether it's, a skill-based question or leadership or how to move your career forward.
Oh, okay, love that. So how did Sheryl Sandberg's lead in circle model inspire you to develop this collaborative circle for mentorship?
Yeah, so I took the same principles to make up circles. I generated some topics, both for idea starters as well as pulled circle members to see what they wanted to discuss. The lean in circles in Cheryl's book, in my opinion, took on a life of their own. I mean, it was just absolutely amazing when I read that book and joined the circles at that original company. And it was really successful. So I wanted a way for our organization to follow that successful model. We all have something to offer each other. So it's really, and we have so little time to share what we know with those who are up and coming in their careers. So it was a really nice way and a quick way to gain and share without too much time away from your day-to-day work and the expectations you have for your time at home and at the office.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because we're all, I mean, you've probably heard me say more than once that I don't believe in like work-life balance, but we are trying to prioritize quite a bit, right?
Exactly,
Yes,
exactly.
yeah.
You want to give back, but when do you have time to do it? Between 4 and 6 a.m. or
Yeah.
something like that?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you a funny quote unquote story that I had
Mhm.
with a mentor. And
Okay.
maybe we can touch on a couple of these things around why it was wrong or whatnot. But so when I was younger in my career, I was new to a company, and the company didn't hire from the outside all that often. So I was kind of
Mhm.
already like one of those outsiders coming into the organization. And I was teamed up with a woman as a formal mentor. My only formal mentor I've ever had. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, the rest of my mentorships were kind of just relationships that I built along the way. So
Of
I
course.
was hooked up with this mentor. I had my first meeting with her, told her a couple of things about how I was feeling about the culture of the company. Some of them were just critical, like coming in as an outsider of how things were going.
Mhm.
And then she shared it with the entire leadership team.
Oh, okay. So
And that
the
was
idea of keeping things between us didn't really resonate.
yeah, my one and only formal mentorship program. So,
I understand why now.
experience. Yes. So I'm curious myself. I'm curious about like how collaborative circles could be different and how it maybe is a little bit more organic in a way where you can forge those relationships that are really meaningful.
Yeah.
So, with that said, how do collaborative circles create different pathways for people to navigate their own development?
So, we all have things that we want or need to develop about ourselves, right?
Yeah,
So circles can be that jumpstart to that learning and provide guidance where else to get that support to build upon. So to your statement and your story, one of the main things that circles do from the get-go is not just that formal introduction, who are you and why are you here, what do you get
right.
out of this, but it's ground rules. It's that this is a safe place. What's said here stays here.
Yeah,
And everybody has to agree to that, right? You can't go into a circle and I'm having a problem with my manager. I don't know how to handle it. And then it gets out to the rest of the organization. That
right.
can't happen. The success of the circles is around that whole idea of having that safe place to have that conversation. And I guess being new to your career, it
Hmm.
wasn't something you thought you had to say up front.
Right,
I would
right.
never have expected to have to say that either, but I think the first thing after introductions is going to have to be, no matter what kind of mentorship it is what are the ground rules? How are we going to interact? And what's safe to say and not to say? Because if you don't want me to talk about something in particular, then I won't go there.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it has to be a two-way street, a conversation. It can't be somebody stealing all of what you're saying and going and telling everybody about it. That was not a safe space, and I that upsets me terribly.
No, yes, and uh yeah, and I've always been very cautious ever since. You
I
know,
don't blame you.
yeah, yeah, which is maybe unfortunate, maybe a good lesson to learn early on in my career. Um,
Absolutely.
so one of the things that I think is really cool about your collaborative circles is it's all different levels of the organization. It's not like, hey, you forged a path before me, you're two levels above me in the organization. There's maybe some people like that, but you're bringing people all from all levels. Some of my best learnings have been from someone who has fresh eyes that are coming into a new
Yes.
experience and can
Mm-hmm.
take a totally different approach on something that I would have never even thought of. So you mentioned that leadership comes from many different forms and many different levels. Can you expand on the value of that?
Yeah. So when you're just starting out in your career, or are a senior level executive, we all lead in every position that we sit in. We need to own our roles and be accountable for what we deliver. And our word is important. And if we say we're going to do something, we absolutely need to do that and then some. So ownership and accountability, this is what drives your success, no matter where you sit in the organization.
Yeah. And it's not a title thing, right? Leadership can come
Absolutely.
at any level, at any time of the day. I people that follow me on LinkedIn know that I talk to my girls a lot. They teach me a lot. They're
Mhm.
in their teenage years, and really into dance and musical theater. My daughter, my youngest, had a situation where someone was not listening to the teacher. We'll just say that the director in the musical, and it was being really disrespectful. My daughter noticed it, but then didn't do anything about it, right? And so we
Mhm.
had a conversation about how do you stand up, even though she's not the director, she's a cast member, she's a peer of the person that was misbehaving, but how do you take a leadership role in those instances
Right.
where you're like, hey, like there's a reason why we respect the director, right? Like
Absolutely.
there's
Absolutely.
yeah,
And you have to think about it from, what if you were sitting in that seat,
yeah,
right? And like
right.
how would you feel? And if you have empathy and able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, what would you want to happen? And then make that happen. It is a way of showing leadership.
It is.
Absolutely.
It
Yeah.
is. So how do you help people, or how do these collaborative circles even help people recognize their own leadership potential, even if they're not quote unquote in a leadership role?
Yeah, yeah. So again, it's about accountability. You point out that those people where they help to drive outcomes, support their point of view, and ask them to share in larger encounters. Ask them what they want out of their role. Do they see themselves on a path that makes that difference as a leader? Leading is knowing what you're supposed to know and supporting the growth of your organization. So, again, to what you said earlier about it's not about a title, right?
Yeah.
And I know that as I grew up in my career, I was always told, act the way you would act if you were in that role already that you're aiming for.
Mhm.
So that's leading, right? That's getting there before you get there and showing that you're able to do the job.
Yeah. I always thought of it as, when you were younger, you were always taught leave somewhere better than it was when you got there,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
To
Hmm.
me, that's like the essence of a leader. Like if you can leave a situation, a job, a company, whatever you're engaged with at this better off
Hmm.
than before you were there, then that doesn't have to do with the title at all.
It's called your legacy, right?
Yeah, yes, it is. It is
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
helping lift other people up and hopefully multiplying your leadership through others. But that's like the simple mantra that I've always
Hmm.
had in my head.
And inspiring others to be like you is amazing. It's an amazing feeling to have people look at you and say, I want to be like her, right? I mean, that just
Yes.
makes you feel great that you're doing all the right things and treating people the way you want to be treated. It's the only way. It's the best way, in my opinion, to be at a company that allows you to be authentic and bring your whole self to work and learn from your mistakes and grow in your career and bring people with you, right? And
Yeah.
lift them up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
So what's the biggest misconception people have about what leadership looks like?
So when I first started out in my career, leadership was the boss and the boss's boss. I mean, that's how it felt, right?
Yes.
But now I see that I'm a leader and I'm the subject matter expert in what I was hired to do. That's leading, whether I'm the CEO or the CPO or an analyst, right? I know what my role in this company is. So if you're thinking about a leader who you think they know everything, I think that's the misconception. We don't know everything in
Hmm.
every role in every part of the company. Our CEO has to count on us to make decisions that move the company forward. So that misconception about, oh, I'll just ask my leader, that to me, that's not growing, right? You really have to, I always say to my team, come to me with any problems you have, but I'm sure you have an idea how to fix that. I don't have to think of everything. Bring me the problem and give me an idea of how you think we could fix it, right? I mean, it may
Right.
not be the right one, but at least you're thinking about that next step. Until you start thinking about that next step, you've got a little bit more growth to do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually, I have my sign here. You can barely see it. It's stuck behind there. It says no whining. Because when someone has a problem and they just come to you trying to fix it, like they're not even trying, they're just like, here, you fix it. That's not really leading, right? Like that's
Yeah.
but it's been interesting starting my own company because
Yeah.
that, it was like my thought process around where we had opportunities in the market, but now I have my wonderful team. I cannot speak more about how
Surround
wonderful they
yourself
are.
with the right people, you can do any job, right?
Yes, you're
Mhm.
right. And we all make each other look better, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we do better for our clients, and we delight them in our work. And that to me is when you really know you have leaders at all areas of the organization really activated
Agreed.
to do their best work.
Yeah. And again, and that right back to the title of collaborative circles, I use that
Yeah.
word collaborative because it is people coming together, having conversations and trying to move forward. Sometimes it's a problem, sometimes it's a skill they're trying to learn. But you're working within a group, and without that collaboration, nobody's going to learn anything, right? You have
Yeah.
to pass along your knowledge, and sometimes you don't even know what the question is, and that's where people new to their careers asking those questions keep it fresh for us. I won't say old timers.
Hey, I'll put myself in that
been
bucket.
around a while.
Okay, so I have a question, and this wasn't necessarily on our list, but I'm curious about, like, if someone is listening to this conversation today and they're like, I love what Deborah is talking about, and we don't have anything like this today. If an individual can an individual build a collaborative circle in an organization, or what does that look like for someone to get this started?
Yeah, so at a previous company, I was asked to build out the program to as a pilot that was so overwhelmingly successful that it just elevated myself as a leader in the organization, and I was a manager. I wasn't in high in the ranks. I wasn't ELT. It wasn't given to me to do.
Right.
I just built it out. So, and it was a collaborative, I will say, effort. I had people around me that I could bounce ideas off of. So I think your question is, how do you build a circle environment?
Yeah. Where do you start?
So we started with a survey to the major population of the organization, just describing what my vision was about building these circles to have these discussions at every level in smaller groups, and asked if that was of interest. We got an overwhelming response of interest.
Yeah.
So we took the names of the people, we kind of gave them we built out a little survey what are you trying to do? Why do you want to join? Do you want to be a leader, facilitator of a circle? And we kind of broke it all up into groups and tried to mix it up, different functions in the circle so that you could feel like it was really a safe place to talk.
Right.
And then I would have, I think it was monthly or quarterly, I forget, leader discussions. How are things going in your circles? Are you getting engagement? Is everybody participating? Are you having trouble with topics and finding topics? We generated a list of topics, and once they went through them, we're like, okay, we need to generate more. What have you done outside of our circle list of topics? And we shared it around the different groups. So it was continuous engagement. So most circles met monthly, some met more often. But usually monthly was the cadence, and I will say it's still going strong at that company. I mean, even after I left, what I left behind was truly, I was inspired by it. I'd like to bring it to my new company, but haven't found the time yet. My schedule.
It's going to happen. It'll happen.
Yeah, someday.
So I have on the implementation front, so some people might be saying, oh, it's going to be hard to do because we're all virtual, or, oh, it's going to be hard to
Mm,
do because we have multiple time
right.
zones that we need to figure out. So what would be your advice for people that have those type of opportunities within their organization?
Yeah, so we use technology. I mean, we built our circles and we were kind of all the way already down the road of circles
Yeah,
before the pandemic. But I have to tell you, the transition during the pandemic to going 100% virtual was almost seamless because, again, rules of engagement, cameras on, everybody participates, somebody else leads the conversation. Like it was constantly, we always left the circle with what our next topic was going to be, and somebody
yeah,
else was going to facilitate. It wasn't always on the same person. Um, it still works as long as everyone gets on the camera and does that, right? Because a lot of times people don't like being on the camera, but it was really
yeah,
important for the face to face.
yeah,
So technology is huge. The time zone thing, you have to be respectful of that, right? You have to think about it from, the other participants viewpoint. They always have to get up at 5 a.m. to be on a circle. Well, maybe
yeah.
one time you should do it in your evening and disrupt
Right.
your evening a little bit. And it's a give and take. And the circles that worked, which was probably 99% of the circles worked, they were respectful of one another, and it was a safe place.
How was the selection of the circle? Like, what did that look like? Like,
It was random. But
okay,
like I said, we did
okay,
try to mix it up so that the functions were as separate as possible. You didn't have three marketing people in one circle or something like
yeah,
that. So it was mindful when we selected that.
that's really cool. Okay, all right. So let's talk a little bit about application of this, particularly within procurement. So you we both mentioned how long we've been in procurement.
Mhm.
How has team development evolved over your career? Um, and then we'll go into how collaborative circles have helped that too.
So I'm sorry, how was what? I missed the beginning of the
How's
question.
the team development evolved over your career within procurement,
My team?
or teams in general, if you want to talk about the development paths for people?
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood the question. Okay. Yeah. So team development. Gotcha. Okay. I've been in procurement, like I said, over 25 years. I've been in many different roles,
Yeah,
mostly in indirect procurement. That's kind of my sweet spot.
right.
There's more drive to be collaborative than I remember when I first started out. Um, People are very co- supportive of one another and helping build core skills. Gosh, that was hard to say. But the younger generation, they have to be willing to meet us halfway, right? They have to be willing to meet in person and get on the phone and get on the camera and not hide behind technology. Go to a conference, go to a dinner meeting, talk to someone, not just behind that screen. There's definitely something to be said for getting it done virtually,
Yeah,
but some things are just better live. I mean, our connection, right,
yeah,
was meeting at that conference. We'd met before, but it was so long ago. It just kind of reinvigorated the relationship. Relationships are built on discussions, on conversations, on face to face, seeing your smile and not just hearing your laugh, it's seeing you smile and
right.
your eyes light up, right? It's just about engaging with people. Um, you know, the my daughter is it just hit her 21st birthday, and she's on that phone texting left and right, like, oh my God, pick up the phone and just have the conversation. It go faster. It's
It is funny. Yeah, my daughters are a little bit younger, a couple of years younger than your daughter, but
mm,
even how communications change between even that span, my daughter would prefer not texting,
oh,
prefers
interesting.
FaceTime, video
That's
calls,
great.
or snapping. That's it. Like it's this kind of an interesting thing how to see like how people communicate and what's meaningful. But I agree with you, like face to face, There's just something magical about it, right? Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm going to skip down a few questions if you don't mind, because
Of
I'm
course.
curious about this. So how do you measure the success of your collaborative circles in an organization if someone's looking to deploy one of these?
Yeah. So metrics, right, is everything, just
Yeah.
like you do for your regular job. The data tells the story, and how often do you meet is a question that would be tracked, right? Like if
Yeah.
everyone's doing it monthly, but you cancel every 2 months and then you show up, like that data metric is kind of important. Do you have people attending the meetings? Polls and surveys are good too in this type of environment, with all of the members. And do they want to continue? Do you plan to continue in the next year? Do you want a different role? What drives you to participate? Is this valuable time away from your desk? And the vast majority of the members have always said a resounding yes.
Hmm.
It's been amazing. It really has. And you get what you put into it, though. So those that said no had low attendance or no attendance at all or participation at all. So it's like, why'd you join the circle? If you were, is
Right.
it just something you want to put on your resume that you don't get anything out of it if you don't put anything into it?
Oh, just like anything in life, right?
Exactly. It's just another facet of growth for you as an individual. If you want to grow, then you know what you need to do.
Yeah, I think it would be really interesting, kind of like the what they called like the MPI scores, where it's like how willing would you
Net
be
promoter
to
score. Yeah.
recommend joining a circle to
Mm-hmm.
a friend?
Yep.
I think would be a really interesting metric for the success of the collaboration circles or collaborative circles. So
Yeah.
it's really cool. Okay, think my last question of you today.
It's okay.
What is your vision for how collaborative circles could transform the workplace development?
So I think providing more tools on key development opportunities. Circle leaders are not experts on everything. Just like we talked about, leaders don't know everything, right?
Right.
But someone needs to facilitate the process. So give them the tools that allow them to do that easily. So circles can support many different learning experiences by anyone who's part of that circle. Transforming development in the workplace is not the ultimate goal, but nothing will take the place of real life learning in the classroom, at a conference, or a virtual learning by a seasoned professional. But it's a great supplement at a very low cost to the organization financially by allowing people to take an hour out of their day to go sit in a room and have that conversation to move forward thinking, right? To make people think differently. I think that's where the transformation comes in.
Okay. Now I know these circles are a private setting, right? But I am curious a little bit, like when you look back on your experience of launching these collaborative circles, what was one thing that you're like, I learned that then, right? Like what was like one of those valuable lessons that you've now brought forward in your life?
I I think when I was part of the first set of circles at the first company that I did this at with the lean in idea, um, it was how many people were so hungry for it, right?
Yeah.
And you're sitting here building this and you're going, oh, who's going to come, right? They came. I built it. They came, right? I mean, the first company. I didn't do it myself. I was a participant and a facilitator. The
Yeah.
second company I did it. I built it. I had the business plan. I presented it to the board. I got approval to move forward on a pilot, and then it just kind of exploded. I mean, the folks that didn't sit in New Jersey where I sit, they
Hmm.
wanted their own circles. I was like, but why would you want it by yourself? Let's do this collaboratively
Right.
across the teams. Um, I think it was kind of a struggle to get them to agree to that. They kind of wanted it on their own. And then the pandemic hit and everyone got isolated. And they were so happy to have that other interaction with people. And
Hmm.
I think just learning to do this conversation it's an amazing skill for people to learn because not everybody does it and does it well.
Right. But I think that's a really good point that still today, a lot of people are hungry for that type of interaction. So if you are a leader who's listening to this right now, or just someone that's like, you know what, I want it, and I know my colleagues would benefit from this, pursue a collaborative circle and reach out to Deborah. I know this is not your full-time job. This is a passion that you have.
Yes.
You want to talk to her about indirect procurement or her lovely daughters, right? Plural, daughter.
No, one of each.
One of each. Children. Then reach out to Deborah. She's a wealth of knowledge in this space, obviously has a passion for it. And I'm just so glad that you were able to share some of your insights and journey with us today. So Deborah, any last words here as we depart?
I am just so thankful for the opportunity to present this. I think that, the more people who think about doing something like this at their companies just to support one another, everybody benefits from it. So thank you for taking the time.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.